We light this lantern for our children and youth and for us, celebrating the flame of faith lighted in each of us. Honoring the light of us brings into the world, rejoicing in the community that we create together. The children will now collect donations for local food pantries and animal shelters. I'll now read a book that is provided in our foyer for joys and concerns, and you are invited to write in it every week, and I will now read what you will share. October 23rd, 2022. After 9 months with removable teeth, I have new ones moving to my jaw. I am free of that brother, Kid Marla. And thank you to Deb Dagnavarian for coordinating such wonderful order of services for all of us. Let us share a quiet time together to reflect on our week. During the musical interlude, you may come forward and place in the water, a pebble in the water, to acknowledge a personal joy or sorrow.
Needed a little height adjustment here. Our meditation this morning comes to us from Joy Harjo. She's a member of the Muscogee Nation. Remember the sky that you were born under. Know each of the stars' stories. Remember the moon. Know who she is. Remember the sun's birth at dawn. That is the strongest point of time. Remember sundown and giving away to night. Remember your birth, how your mother struggled to give you form and breath. You were evidence of her life, and her mother's, and hers. Remember your father. He is your life also. Remember the earth whose skin you are. Red earth, black earth, yellow earth, white earth, brown earth. We are earth. Remember the plants, trees, animal life, who all have their tribes, their families, their histories too. Talk to them. Listen to them. They are alive poems. Remember the wind. Remember her voice. She knows the origin of this universe. Remember, you are all people, and all people are you. Remember, you are this universe, and this universe is you. Remember, all is in motion, is growing, is you. Remember, language comes from this. Remember the dance language that life is. Remember. Let's join in singing hymn number 123, Spirit of Life. You may remain seated for this.
We will now take a moment to give and receive the morning offering. In a moment, the ushers will come forward to pass the offertory baskets among those who are in attendance. If this is your first time visiting with us today, you may let the basket pass, as your presence is gift enough. You can also text a donation to 609-293-4495. Or, if you are using the electronic order of service, follow the link to donate online. For those who are participating online, please visit uucsjs.org and click on the yellow donate button for ways to donate. 80% of our annual budget comes from the pledges and donations of friends and members of this congregation. Each week, we see a small and sometimes great miracle happen as people open their hearts and share their resources with this community of spiritual growth. No matter how you support us, we appreciate you and your generous heart. After all, your donation is what keeps us going. And no matter how those gifts are offered, they are always most gratefully received. The ushers will now accept the morning's offering. was written by an anonymous author, and it is called Awe and Wonder. And at the end of this reading, we will enter into a time of silent reflection before today's sermon. And the beginning word of this reading is stand, but I don't want anybody to stand. I just wanted to let you know. Stand, stay still, keep silent, mouth opening and closing, speechless at this brilliant moment, sky tearing apart in your heart. In an art of wordlessness opens up before me. The open world lies ahead. Stand, sit, stay still, keep silent, sun brighter than bright, bigger than big, lighting the peaks of the mountains that loom above the road I follow. Heart open to the vastness of it all. Hope. I am becoming infinite. I am becoming bigger than myself, bigger than the sun that I reach for. This feeling, this victorious cry in the void, this freedom bubbling up within, is a feeling I cannot live without. Without it, I am not truly living, but only breathing. I reach and reach and reach towards the heavens, towards the brilliant light. Even in darkness, I see it shining. Even in storms, I see it flashing violently across the sky. Even in the night, I see it faintly reflecting from the surface of a cratered rock floating millions of miles away. Even when hidden under blankets and locked in a screaming, noise-filled, pitch-black cupboard, I see it flicker at the edge of my vision. It is constant. It is freedom, and it is everywhere around me. Stand, stay still, keep silent. Awe and wonder are my middle names. Nancy.
I recently heard a talk given by a veteran named Stacy Bear. And while he was serving in Iraq, he was assigned to clearing landmines. I mean, you think about that for a minute. It's really hard to imagine a more stressful kind of assignment. He also said he spent a lot of time doing things like kicking down doors and blowing things up. Well, during his tour, he suffered head injuries, and those were from the explosions, and he witnessed truly horrible things. When Stacy returned to the U.S., he found himself re-experiencing these awful events, and he had other symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder, nightmares, sleeplessness, feeling on edge, and seeing everything through a negative lens. He went on to grad school, but he became heavily addicted to drinking and drugs, and he was just trying to escape from his own head. He was depressed, and he often thought of suicide. He knew he needed help, but he didn't know what to do. So one day he called a friend and just asked him what he should do. His friend was blunt. I guess that's what friends are for sometimes. But he said, "Look, man, I'm tired of hearing about how depressed you are, so either just kill yourself, rejoin the army, or do something about it." Okay, yeah, right. This is not the usual way you would talk to a depressed person, but I guess this friend knew him. Knew him well enough so that it was just kind of the shot in the arm that Stacy Bear needed. So, for some reason, Stacy just thought, go climb some rocks. And that's what he did. He started rock climbing. And that became his do something about it. Well, one day, not long after that, he and his brother were hiking in Utah's Canyonlands. Anybody been out there to the southwest? Oh, yeah, it's just one of those things that the immensity of things is just awesome, but we'll get to that. So anyway, he and his brother were hiking up this trail, and they were arguing about some trivial thing. And so they're climbing up this rocky portion, and then they near the top, and they come out over this rise, and there, right in front of them, is this 150-foot tall Druid arch. Well, they both completely forgot about their argument. Their jaws dropped open, and they just started laughing and hugging. And something happened in that moment for Stacy. It was a turning point. He felt that this inner torment that had never left him alone for a moment since getting back from Iraq, it just started ebbing away. And in that moment, the power of awe to change his perspective had made itself known to him. And somehow he just knew he was on his way to healing. In Western cultures, awe has been associated with transformative religious experiences. In the Christian tradition, some might think of the awe that Paul experienced on the road to Damascus with the appearance of Jesus. In Jewish tradition, what might come to mind are the days of awe, which have just passed. And here the word awe means immense or weighty, the awesome burden to atone and face God's judgment. For practitioners of earth-centered traditions, experiencing awe in the natural world has always been an integral part of the spiritual experience, and spirituality is an integral part of life. In Native American cultures, this deeply held attitude of reverence and awe for every aspect of the earth, both living and non-living, is woven into one's very consciousness. Ralph Waldo Emerson, one of the 19th century Unitarian transcendentalists, was among the first of our religious ancestors to recognize the power of awe that nature could elicit and to connect it with religious experience. In his essay, Nature, Emerson writes, "In the woods, we return to reason and faith. There, I feel that nothing can befall me in life, no disgrace, no calamity, which nature cannot repair. Standing on the bare ground, my head bathed with a blithe air and uplifted into infinite space, all mean egotism vanishes. I become a transparent eyeball. I am nothing. I see all. The currents of the universal being circulate through me. I am part and parcel of God." The American naturalist John Muir understood well the power of nature to inspire awe. In a journal entry marked June 6, 1871, he writes, "We are now in the mountains, and they are in us, kindling enthusiasm, making every nerve quiver, filling every pore and cell of us. Our flesh and blood tabernacle seems transparent as glass to the beauty about us, as if truly an inseparable part of it, thrilling with the air and trees, streams, and rocks, in the waves of the sun, a part of all nature, immortal. How glorious a conversion, so complete and wholesome it is." The thing that awesome experiences seem to have in common is that they point to something beyond our limited selves. Often, awe is inspired by a sense of vastness, physical vastness. For example, when we're standing on the ocean's shore or staring up at a starry sky. The vastness of knowledge and its limitations. Or temporal vastness, perhaps looking upon the rock formations in the Southwest and just contemplating the millions of years in evidence before us. Experiences of awe transcend our understanding of the world around us, and perhaps even our capacity to understand. There are big awes, and then there are little awes. People feel awe in response to more ordinary things, like catching a firefly and watching its light blink on and off, witnessing a stranger giving lunch to a homeless person, or gazing into the eyes of a newborn baby. Awe has the power to change the way we view ourselves and the people in our midst, and it can affect our attitudes and our perspectives. One researcher found that regular small bursts of awe lead to a greater sense of humility. Awe seems to take us Westerners out of our preoccupation with ourselves and our own needs, and to give rise to the sense of being a small part of a larger whole. Our egos reinforce the illusion that we're separate from everything and everyone else. Awe allows us to transcend that illusion and to remind us of the larger things that we're connected to and a part of, as we heard in our meditation this morning. Early psychologist William James described awe as an immense elation and freedom that allows the outlines of confining selfhood to melt down. It momentarily dissolves the self and allows the world in its freshness and novelty to seep in. And when our egos are not so defended, it has a positive effect on how we see those around us. Berkeley social psychologist Paul Pitt found that experiences of awe increase feelings and acts of generosity. In a study, most likely with university students as participants, those who experienced awe cooperated more, shared more resources, and sacrificed more for others. And when you think about it, these are all necessary attributes for healthy communities. The psychologist Abraham Maslow spent time with the Blackfoot community in Canada. And as with indigenous groups throughout North America, awe and reverence for nature, really indigenous groups throughout the world, this awe and reverence for nature, they're just woven into the community consciousness. Giving and sharing, rather than accumulating wealth, is another foundational value of most indigenous communities. So Maslow found that in the Blackfoot community also, wealth was not important, but rather giving it away. The person who gave the most away was the one who had the most privilege and security. So in these two studies of two very different cultures, one mostly white and middle to upper class, and another indigenous, awe and generosity seem to go hand in hand. And we need to be careful not to universalize experiences based on studies of small groups of people. In this case, I do think those connections between generosity and awe, they make sense, and I think they're probably true for most humans. Especially in our hyper-individualistic American culture, experiences of awe contribute to altruism, because they alter Western people's sense of themselves, replacing it with one that is smaller, humbler, and a part of something larger. Even brief experiences of awe, such as being among beautiful, tall trees, especially at this time of year with the fall colors, they're so beautiful. These kinds of experiences lead people in our dominant society to feel less self-centered and entitled, and more attuned to our common humanity. The other day, I was driving home, and rainbows, they don't last very long, but I was actually getting off the highway onto the road that leads to my house, and the sun was shining. It had just been raining, and so I looked, and there was a rainbow. So I'm getting off the highway, and the exit, I rolled down my window, and I'm going like this, and I don't know if anybody else saw it, but it's just one of these things. You see a rainbow, you can share it with everybody, and it kind of brings everyone together. So these kinds of experiences, they help us balance our gratification of our self-interest with a greater concern for others. The power of awe extends into other areas of our lives. It helps people to be more creative and to find novel solutions to problems. Albert Einstein believed that feelings of awe are the source of all true art and science. And awe can lift our depression, and it can heal our wounds. When Stacey Bear took in the sight of that monumental Druid arch that day, he recognized the power of awe to heal his trauma. And with that insight, he also went on to recognize the power of awe to heal others. So he began by reaching out to other veterans, and he eventually became the director of Sierra Club's Outdoors. That's an organization that sponsors trips for groups. So Stacey's goal is to get veterans and inner city youth out into nature. Many of them have had little experience with the natural world. Simply staring up into a dark sky full of stars for the first time can be an incredibly awesome experience. And Stacey's found that those who experience these trips into the wilderness have an improved sense of well-being, social functioning, and life outlook. Here is a headline, or at least I think it should be a headline. Americans are awe-deprived. It's true. We really are. We talk about being sleep-deprived, but awe-deprived, that's important too. And as a culture, we spend more and more time indoors, working and commuting, and less time outdoors and with other people, especially during the pandemic. In studies, participants reported having experiences of awe 2.5 times a week on average. Now, when we read about these studies, we have to think, who's being studied, okay? Usually, it's mostly white students, and they're mainly middle to upper class. So, it's a certain segment of society. So it's worth considering that for groups of people who are marginalized, impoverished, chronically ill, or severely stressed in other ways, the experiences of awe might even be more elusive. It just kind of hit me the other day. I'm going off on a tangent here, but I think it's relevant. My parents moved to an assisted living place, and I've heard from other people my age that when our parents go into these places, they tend to decline. My parents lived on Martha's Vineyard. They had experiences of awe every single day, and living in their apartment just doesn't really happen. I took my dad to a nature preserve in between some doctor's appointments this past week. He was so happy, and I realized, it was just one of those beautiful, beautiful fall days with the bright colors, and just realized, he probably had not had an experience of awe in months, and we just need that. For our spiritual and our mental well-being, we just need that awe every day, and we need it for ourselves and for the benefit of the people around us too. So let's just think about putting down our devices, taking a break from work, taking a pause, getting outside. There are sources of awe and wonder everywhere if we just make it intentional to start looking for them. So many opportunities to lift ourselves out of our habituated responses and thinking. I used to suffer a lot with winter depression. I know probably some of you in here do too. It's not so bad anymore, but I remember this one cold and dreary winter day. I just didn't have a lot of energy, and I was casting around for something to lift my spirits. And I know that nature often has the power to do that. So I went on the computer looking for images of nature. You're right, you got it. So I think maybe that was an example of depressed thinking. The real deal was right outside my door. It was cold, okay, it was dreary, it was winter, I lived in the city, and I knew that even looking at images of nature could provide me with a little dose of awe. Well, that day I discovered the Cloud Appreciation Society. Has anybody heard of this? It's this British organization, and they kind of have a lighthearted approach to the whole thing. But I became a member. They sent me like a little certificate and a pin and everything. And I signed up for a daily email. So every day in my inbox, I would get a photo of a spectacular cloud formation and some information about it, and I learned more about the clouds. So I actually found a way to have a few moments of awe every day without even going outside. I am fortunate, though, living in the Lehigh Valley of Pennsylvania. Anybody visited that area? Well, there's beautiful places everywhere, but I have the Blue Mountain to the north, South Mountain to the south, and the Lehigh River running through it, so I can look out my window and just get a view of the mountains, or I can go down to the river and just look down at the water. And occasionally, I'm rewarded by something spectacular. One morning, I remember waking up and looking out the window to see South Mountain. It was just covered in snow, and the sun was out, and just glistening like a jeweled blanket. And those mini doses of awe can make a huge difference. A friend of mine has a big picture window that faces east. She gets up before sunrise every morning to watch the sun rise, which I think is awesome. But I'm not the morning type, so if you're not the morning type like me, there are some other ideas. One of them I really like comes from an author named Spencer Scott. We can take an awe walk in our neighborhood and just practice noticing everything as if we're seeing it for the very first time. Stacy Bear envisions a day when we'll be prescribed experiences of awe to treat trauma. He predicts you'll get an insurance copay to go river rafting. You'll get a copay to buy hiking boots, and a copay for season passes to state and national parks. So he's looking at an image of Yosemite National Park, and he's imagining that our children, when they grow up, will assume that this is our national health care system. He's just passionate about the power of nature to heal. And you know, why wouldn't he be? It saved his life. And he's seen the power of awe to save the lives of other people as well. Whether it's a big awe triggered by a national park experience or a little awe inspired by watching a tiny ant carry a teeny splinter of wood, a sense of spiritual wholeness can come from having these experiences on a regular basis. Like Stacey Bear, I gravitate toward the power of nature, but there are lots of different ways to bring the power of awe into our lives. And not just our own lives, as I mentioned before, we can help bring it into other people's lives as well. Let's just reflect for a moment. What are some of your memories of awesome moments? Big ones or small ones? How can you experience more of those moments? It's one of those things. Once we begin looking, we can find sources of awe just about anywhere. May the power of awe lift our spirits, heal our pain, and inspire us to live with open hearts. May it be so. Let's join out. Are we going to have a... No, we have to pause already. All right. Enough of the pauses. So, we are moving on now to our closing hymn, which is a great one for this theme. It's number 326, Let All the Beauty We Have Known.
Okay, closing words. Thank you, Reverend Kim, very much for that wonderful, awe-inspiring talk. And thank you, Melissa, for the beautiful music today. I want to share these words written by George Bernard Shaw. Life is no brief candle to me. It is a sort of splendid torch, which I have got hold of for the moment. And I want to make it burn as brightly as possible before handing it on to future generations. And let us read the words together for extinguishing the chalice. We
Extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
There are a few announcements this week. Every year, each congregation in the Unitarian Universal Association is asked to give a financial contribution to support the wider movement and sibling congregations across our association. This contribution supports the annual program fund, which is the single largest source of income for the work of our UUA. It also strengthens the covenant among us. Our congregation gave the full amount requested for the annual program fund during the past 10 or more fiscal years, and we have been recognized as an honored congregation by the UUA, honoring the covenant among and between our congregations. Thank you. Your giving is a concrete expression of our congregation's covenant with one another, and is a recognition that we are not alone, but are part of the Association of Congregations. This support allows the UUA to serve the diverse needs of the 1,006 member congregations across 5 regions. Congregational giving through the annual program fund makes the work of UUA possible. No individual congregation can possibly tackle the challenges of our society alone. We need one another, and our values are amplified powerfully when we support one another. Next Sunday will be our first 5th Sunday of bagels and baked goods. Those who love to bake are invited to break out their talent and bring items to share for coffee hour. Vegan, vegetarian, no gluten, regular, a recipe from a magazine. try it on us before you take it to the relatives for the holidays. Please mark items so folks know what it is. Folks can also support their local bakeries. Please bring items to the kitchen before service. While donating clothing for the ESW, please clean, folded, and bagged items only. Thank you. And there will be a faith action meeting next Sunday following the service. If you are having trouble receiving or reading our midweek message emails, please see Jess Dunn Safanoff after service to help and to review the accessibility options available to you. We have postcards today to be signed and sent urging support for the Reproductive Equity Act, S2918. This bill will protect and expand abortion access for all people here in New Jersey, regardless of income, insurance, or immigration status. The bill also strengthens protections for health care providers. Make sure to stop by the table and fill out. There's 2 cards back there, one for 2 different congressmen. Join us next Sunday for Allison Maxfield on Honoring Halloween, exploring earth-based traditions and psychological rituals to heal the pain of loss. This sermon will explore the pagan concept of Halloween, Native American spirituality, and rituals from psychology to honor and heal grief. Rituals can transmute grief back into love and appreciation while surrendering to the grieving process. Please bring a picture of a loved one to put on the communal table. After the sermon, feel free to connect to others through the pictures of love. We warmly welcome all of you who are visiting us today. Parents are encouraged to stay for the final moments of worship and to retrieve their children from downstairs after the bell has sounded. Now let us share in a moment of silent reflection to consider today's message and the meaning it has in our lives.
Come on.
Some law.